So for this feature, what we're going to look at is this section of Red Run here on Aston Hill, which has got a lot of braking bumps on it. These are formed by this trail actually being a little bit too steep, and so the riders coming down are just hanging on the anchors, ready for the turn ahead. It just causes these frequency bumps to be cut out of the trail, and when riders come down they really feel them. If this was a downhill, no problem, but because it's the Red Run cross country, we just want to make sure that the bumps aren't too bad and just make the trail run a little bit better. First thing I always do when I look at a trail like this is just identify the issues and what we can work on first, where we can take the water off and any other issues that are outstanding. Quite common on a trail like this are these roots that have just been exposed. What I call these are hookers, because you could slide a hand or a foot underneath and you just want to take those out, and that keeps the trail running safe. Obviously you're not going to be able to get all of them, and these roots here that are well buried in, I'll just leave those there as they're part of the character of the trail. So first job is just to take these out and then identify a few of the areas that I want the water to drain off the trail and get those cleared ready for building. So what we've done is we've just cleared back some of this brash here just to give us an area for the water to run off the trail. What's happening on this trail is where it's frequently used by a lot of riders, these little drainage points have been built in the past, but where the riders have come through, they've actually cut the trail depth down a little bit lower. Regular maintenance stops that from happening and keeps these rolling grade dips open and keeps the water sheeting off the trail rather than down it, adding to the problems. Obviously on a day like today, really dry conditions, we've had a week or so of really good dry weather, so we've got a little bit of work here to do, just cutting through the top layer of the trail, and then obviously that's going to take a little while packing back down. But we're just going to cut out these rolling grade dips now just to get the water to run down the trail and off the side, and then we've saved this here ready to recamouflage the trail once we've finished. So what we've done now is we've cleared out here, we've started to build where the water's going to run off the trail, and now what we're looking at are the rolling grade, after the rolling grade dips, are the little rolling bumps that we have running down this hill. The first one here was only very small, and we've just skimmed the top off of that, and this is the next one here. The key here really is not to dig too deep, and again, what we've looked at with the other sessions of digging up, we just want to skim out this lump and just make it so the trail runs a lot smoother. It'd be really easy here to go a little bit too deep, and instead of having a hump to build a dip, and that would be just as bad. So it's really all about the feel. Same with the grade there, is if the drainage is running off too fast, it's going to create a gully running off the side of the track, which is just as risky as the water running down the trail in the direction of the rider. Things are really starting to come together now. We've cleared out the two drainage sections that we wanted to build, so the water running down the slope can now run off and clear the trail bed. We've also taken out some of the braking bumps. The idea here isn't to completely smooth out the trail, but to just take out the worst of them, so riders coming down don't have those frequency bumps to deal with coming into this section here. The next job is to get into this section here where the real big bumps start to come through. We're going to look at doing something similar there, but we're also going to look at just a little bit of remedial work to just stop those bumps from coming back. The key here, as I said, isn't to sanitise the trail or make it too simple. It's just to keep the trail running good, and while the trails are dry and the conditions are as good as they are, it's as good a time as any to get out and do a little bit of work on the trail. So what we've done now is we've camouflaged back in the sections of trail that we've just built, and we're now coming into this section. As I said, this is where the bigger damage to the trails happened over the years, with riders breaking down to make the left-hander at the bottom. The first bit we're going to look at is this dip here. Now again, if this was a black run, we wouldn't be doing anything to this, but because it's on the red run and we want the trail to last, this dip here is funneling a lot of water from the trail down in and accelerating as it rolls through this section. There's quite a lot of material gathered here, and there's also a fair bit of material banked up here as well. So what we want to do is bring that material back into the trail, take out this root and just get this bit looking good, and then we can slowly work our way down bump by bump, just tuning up what we're going to do on these sections. So now, that dip that was here before has been filled in. The material we used was the material that had banked up on the side here. Now the big question is, what's the difference between that material there and the stuff we've been skimming off the top of the trail or out of the side of the trail? Well, the answer to that is that this material here is washed down off the trail over a number of years, so I know it's mainly mineral. It's not got any of the leaf mulch in it, so it's a really good material to use to build this section of trail. It's going to pack down now nice and hard. If I was to leave it like it looks now, although it looks good, first rider through is going to actually dig quite deep into here, so the next job's to give this a really good hard packing down. Ideally we'd like a little bit of water, but like most trail places, to get the water here is just as much work as it is actually building the trail itself. So what we're going to hope is that the trail will get ridden in over time. Overnight we'll get a little bit of dew down on the trail as well, a bit of moisture back into it, and then it will set nice and hard. Obviously what it really needs is a little bit of rain, but no one wants any of that right now. So we're just going to leave the trail, settle it down, and then work on to the next bit. So it's time to do a bit of packing. For packing the trail, what I use is the back of my spade. It's nice and solid here, and what it gives me is a really good finish. What I'm using is my right hand as the lever and the left hand to actually push the trail down. And then I'm just hitting that in. And it just acts like a whacker plate, just whacking that down. On a dry day like today, the back of the spade isn't picking up too much dirt, but if it's wet, that sticks like it does to a blanket. And so what I want to do is keep the back of my spade clean, so I'm getting a nice good finish. I've got a fair bit of whacking to do here, so we'll come back and have a look how it looks when we finish. So we've finished off this section here now. We've filled this ditch in so that the water coming down the hill on the trail on a wet day runs up the side of there. Ideally what we'd look to do is to take out this edge on the outside here. It's going to cause a bit of an issue over time with water being guided down the trail, but what we have done is build another area to let the water off the side of the trail down here, another rolling grade dip. And what we've also done is just take out these bumps on the way down, just tune them up a little bit, just so that as your front wheel hits one, your back wheel isn't hitting one. So the trail's still got these gradient bumps in, it's still kept its character, but it hasn't kept that annoying frequency bump that was coming from the braking of riders. The tips for this, really, the key things are skim, don't dig. Remember that what we're trying to do is just cut the trail down little bit by little bit. That digging up process that we've looked at in the other sessions, really making sure that we don't dig down into the trail bed, and then just packing down again afterwards just to make sure the trail's good. Really just taking off a little bit of trail, you can come back and take off some more if you haven't got it right, and just tuning that track to get the optimum out of it for the riders. Hopefully we'll find some riders coming down here over the next few days finding things a lot faster and a whole lot easier than they were before.